Hi, Brother Ernie.
My sister.
Seeing you again. So my name's
She comes out and supports all the time. She doesn't care. She comes. She supports. She shows love.
Absolutely. I actually came down with my girl Sam from Hamilton. Went to go grab her from Hamilton and made the move over here. My question to you is, I'm a supporter of Reese. She's part of abuse and survival stories for women and men, but mostly women. And you see and hear a lot of stories of women being through a lot of trauma, a lot of, down times and whatnot, and try to come out of it. And my question to you is, what can you encourage and say to these women? I mean, I've done my part in just posting and talking and communicating and getting through these women on my own time to say, it's your surroundings and what you do on a daily basis and who you choose to hang around with. But anything further past that, you could, things that you can say to encourage a woman to really get to her, to her heart, to make them realize and open up their eyes, I guess.
I was in BC, Vancouver, and when you go to a city, there's generally somebody that comes and is your handler, for lack of a better term, or somebody that hangs with you, drives you around, makes sure you eat, make sure you wake up, make sure you get to your lecture on whatever. Her name is Larissa Healy, known as Girl 23. Larissa is probably my size, and I know I've already felt that she got a left hook a little bit harder than mine. And, she's tattooed, and she's, and she was a heavy drinker. And if you looked at her wrong, she'd knock you on your ass in a heartbeat. Well, I was up there, and that woman writes to me and calls me about once a week saying, Brother Ernie, I don't drink anymore. I haven't been in a fight for over a year. I'm not getting arrested, and all of that. And I never once told her drinking is bad. I never once told her drugs is bad. I never told her fighting is bad. You don't tell people something is bad, damn it, they know it. You use your love, your affection, your kindness to make them understand that love and kindness and affection exist in this world. I was raised by a single mom who had been through all of the traumas. And even Tupac said, you got your name from a woman, got your game from a woman, and they accused him of rape. And I wasn't there, but I'll tell you, there's no way in this God's green earth that man could have raped anybody, because I knew his spirit, and I knew him, and there was no way that could ever happen. The bullshit clowns he was hanging with, yes. Him, no. But another thing, and I've said this before, I don't believe in capital punishment, but if rape became something that had the penalty of capital punishment, rape would end. And one thing we have to talk about rape is that many men, probably half as many as women, but there's still a tremendous amount of men on this earth who have been raped or abused, raped in prison or abused by their parents, an uncle, a friend, something. So there's a whole bunch of people that are walking around here traumatized. And we need to, just like child pornography or a whole bunch of things, we need to escalate that and put that into the front. Because if we cannot, male and female, deal with each other, then we don't have a society. We're not even human beings anymore. We're not animals, because animals damn sure know. You ever see a female lion or a female tiger? They know how to run that thing, okay? And another thing, when I was teaching martial arts, we used to give little girls a handful of grapes, every class, and they'd have to squeeze the grapes to make juice. And as they got older, we'd give them apples or different vegetables or fruits to squeeze. And one day, an 11-year-old girl came up to me, and we never told them what it was for, but the 11-year-old girl came up to me, she said, Brother Ernie? I said, yes. She said, I found out why you made us squeeze those grapes. If you're ever in a situation where somebody's putting their hands on you or doing something, trust me, you take one finger and put it up their nose and rip. Take one finger and put it in their ear and press. All right? And right here, it takes very little to put that into their brain. Never allow yourself to be touched by anyone that you don't want to touch you. And if they do, break something. bite something off. You have teeth and you have fingers. I don't advocate violence, but I also don't advocate passivity. Think about it.
Anyone else have a question they want to jump up here? I saw Addie always has a question. I know Addie's got a question, but we got a room full of brilliant people here. Complex.
Yo, what up, what up, what up? I know last time I saw you, I can't remember what the context was, but we talked about, or I kind of addressed a question, kind of what you just talked about, I think it was about like, the fear of homosexuality and hip hop and all that kind of stuff. And I talked about how, like, you know, there's a lot of, especially in the black community, there's a lot of trauma due to, like, you know, slave masters, what they would use rape, you know, to emasculate males and the females. And there's a lot of trauma entrenched in black people's DNA that they don't even want to know or confront and all that kind of stuff. And like now, people are talking about like whatever hip hop and gay and whatever crackler more and that bullshit. And I guess I kind of wanted to just kind of like, I don't know, bring that up about like how are we going to be able to transcend whatever gender binaries, like whether or not like male, female, masculinity in hip hop or the community, and like kind of deal with the healing aspect of what we as a community go through, and then with the colonization of black culture, indigenous culture being co-opted, and you know, our problems kind of being broadcast on a global scale without us actually as internal forces being able to talk about who we are and how we've been affected by colonization and all that kind of stuff. So
There's a whole, I can literally answer Complex's question for the next 2 or 3 nights. In indigenous cultures, rape is endemic. And I saw a movie, a TV series recently called House of Cards. Anybody watch that? Okay. House of Cards, Kevin Spacey, who's a very deep brother, he said something. He said, he's telling this person that everything is about sex. Everything. Except sex, which is about power. Everything is about sex, except sex, which is about power. Because we are in a post-colonized, soon-to-be recolonized reality as indigenous people, we try to take power and we twist it because we use sex as power instead of sex as healing or affection or eroticism, which if you look at India's past, they have temples and the Kama Sutra and all of that. We use sex as a weapon instead of as a tool of pleasure, of reproduction, and of affection. So we take those people who are same sex, we view them as less than people that, you know, have sex with male, female, and we choose them to attack. And the same goes for women, because we somehow feel women are weaker, so we have the right as men to take them. And as far as hip hop goes, and I answered Complex's question last time, as far as hip hop goes, hip hop, you have to understand, is not something abstract. It's reflective. The reason there's so much homophobia in rap is because there's so much homophobia in our consciousness and in our communities. And the reason there's so much misogyny in hip hop is because there's so much misogyny in our communities and in our consciousness. Mos Def said it better than I ever could. Hip hop is not some giant living up in the woods. Hip hop is us. If we're violent and stupid, hip hop's going to be violent and stupid. When we were conscious and we had the X-Clan, when we had De La Soul and Tribe Called Quest and Queen Latifah and all this, our music was conscious. Hip hop is nothing but a mirror. So we need not look to or at hip hop for the solution. because hip hop is not a religion. It's not even a culture. It's a series of art forms which is informed by our consciousness. In other words, we change our consciousness and we change the art forms around us. And the way to change our consciousness is very simple, and that's respecting and loving one another, as I said in that video. And by the way, that video, thank you, I wrote nothing down. They put a mic in my hand, they asked me to speak, I closed my eyes, I prayed, I meditated, and that's where that came from. That was not something written or something pompous. That was from my heart, that was from my soul, and I just spoke and I did that. We need to fight. How many of you know what the Willie Lynch syndrome is? The Willie Lynch syndrome is from a Willie Lynch letter which one slave owner shared with the other slave owners because the slave owners found that their slaves were rebelling and killing their masters and burning down the plantations. So what they did was, they said, we have a solution. And the man who wrote it was Willie Lynch, and the letter said, you divide the dark skin from the light skin, the old from the young, the male from the female. You separate the one that's in the house and eating the crumbs a little bit better than the one that's in the field. And by doing this, you drive wedges between them. And that's how politicians get over with their crap. In the States, you got the Republicans and the Democrats. You know, you got the pro-female, the pro-life, the pro-choice, you know. It's like they find all these schisms and isms. So we have to change that by treating each other as human beings and not as sexual fantasies or, you know, pornographic, you know, whatever, and treat one another as human beings. In Zulu, every year they have the Zulu anniversary and they have a competition. And if he and I were rapping and we were doing an MC battle, and he made reference to my age or that I was native or whatever, he'd get disqualified. If he called me a faggot, he'd be disqualified instantly if he was the best rapper that ever lived. So we are not allowed to use profanity during those battles. We're not allowed to, you know, call somebody the B word or any of that, because that is against Zulu, and Zulu is about humanity. So that's where it begins, by setting an example, a strong example, and by raising your children a certain way and treating them with love rather than with dogma. Who's this guy over there?
There's some people in the room that I'm surprised aren't asking questions. We got